Our girl is destitute.
What conspiracy theory do you have?
You're the Feyre.
I'm Feyre. He hates Tamlin. He's also a bit of a petty bitch.
And yet, she decides, let me just shoot my shot and see it. I'm like, girl. Hi.
Hi.
How are
Hello.
you?
So good. Little sleepy, but
Yeah.
all good. But wowie. Serial Squad. This chapter is fun. Chapter 35.
Yeah, it's an interesting chapter to do alone.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did because like even though it's not like the longest chapter in the world, it's or like even like the most info dumping one, like I feel there's a lot of little things
Yes.
that we either find out about later or could potentially hint at things that have yet to come.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny how this book though, it's like the more answers you get, the more questions you also get too from a first reader perspective. But
Oh yeah. It's funny because this chapter actually has a lot of like the little things that I feel like I remember the most from Under the Mountain of just like
mm,
the I don't know, I feel like Sarah did such a good job of kind of like I don't know, sitting with her in this dungeon,
yeah.
in the beginning is just there's so much of this in this portion of the book. And I
Yeah.
think, often when you think about Under the Mountain, you think about all the tasks, you think about all of those things, you think about the bargain with Rhys, like you think about all of this stuff, but you kind of like forget. And one of the weird things that I always like stuck to and remembered was just like how often she's like sitting alone in this cell
Yeah.
with only but her thoughts to like keep her company. And
Yeah.
so it was a really interesting like reread of this beginning of like right where she's waking up in pain, something's broken, something's blah blah, and just like rereading this was like, oh baby girl, this is about to be your life for like the next like 3 months or so. Like this is so
Yeah.
much of your time, because in reality these trials are one day and then the
Right.
rest of the
Not even
time
a full
is
day.
exactly. And so it was this sort of reminder of like, oh right, we're about to start like a lot of these moments of her just like, I hurt, I'm tired, I'm alone, what day is it? It's like, oh great, here we go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like obviously the pain is literal torture, but I feel in some ways the sitting with her own thoughts is like worse torture
Totally.
because she's just ruminating the whole.
Yep.
I mean, we talked about it at the top of the spoiler free episode of like at the end when she's thrown. I think it's when she's thrown back in the cell. Like she just keeps like obsessively thinking about like, oh my god, Amarantha only said we'd be released immediately in regards to the riddle, but
Mhm.
not the trial. So what
Mhm.
does that mean? And
Mhm.
like that in itself is its own special type of torture that's like I would argue more inescapable than physical pain.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why some of the worst punishments in prisons and what have you are isolation,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because it's just that is the ultimate. It's the worst because you can't it's really hard to turn your brain off, right? To like
Yeah.
stop all these thoughts, stop all these, things. And especially like in Farrah's situation, like she's kind of having to keep herself aware and thinking about all this stuff because of the trickery of the Fae. And like
Yeah.
there's like she needs to be going over all of this stuff in her head to find like the potential loopholes that she may not have originally heard. Or also I think just like there's like a balance there, right? Where like you want to keep your brain going or else you'll probably just go mad. But then if
Yeah.
you go too far, you're going to make yourself go crazy. So there's like this weird middle ground. Cause also, like, when she gets sent back to the cell at the end of this chapter, she basically is like, yeah, I know I'm going to lose. Like,
Yeah.
she descends into this really awful kind of place. And, and then the chapter ends with her like, well, gonna go do the first task now. Like, it's just a really bad, like, headspace. But yeah, I feel like this chapter definitely touches on that very specific type of torture. And I think that's
Yeah.
also why Amarantha made it a 3-month thing. Like Amarantha could have been like, all right, in 1 week, you're going to do 3 tasks. You know, this is a female who is very skilled at torture. She's very
Yeah.
skilled at finding the great ways to slowly break people. This is absolutely why she made this a long process, because she just
Oh,
knows Feyre is just going to slowly, like she's only in there for like 3-4 days and she's already commencing this, so
right. Yeah. I mean, Amarantha could have easily made the trials like 3 days long
yeah,
and been done with it, but
yeah,
she purposely made it. She's like every full moon.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, bitch. Like,
yeah,
well, and then also, I don't know, all that kind of made me reflect on like as bad as it is for Feyre, right? When we're talking about ruminating on your own thoughts.
yeah,
Could you imagine Jurian being stuck on
bro.
a ring for 400 years?
Yeah, yeah.
450? Yeah. Like,
Uh,
yikes.
Jurian is kind of one of those characters that there is an my mind like can't fully grasp
Yeah.
his situation. You know what I mean? It's kind
Yeah.
of like that idea of where like humans actually can't 100% grasp the concept of like infinity, or so like space.
Right. Right.
We like can't I almost feel like that's what happens with me when I start to really try to like think about Jurian's situation and put
Yeah.
myself in his place. Like I feel like my brain kind of short circuits and like literally I can't think about it for too long. My brain stops
No.
it and like moves me somewhere else, because
Yeah.
I just feel like you could go crazy just thinking about this situation. Like
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, and again, once we do the rereads of Mist and Fury and
yeah.
ACOTAR, like
Yeah.
we'll have a better grasp of it. But like from what I do remember with Jurian's story, I feel like he actually doesn't get enough credit because like and I understand why, because I think for most of those 2 books we actually do think he is the bad guy, and then we find out nope, he's been a double agent this whole time.
Yeah.
And then to think about that after he's been a fucking eye ring and finger bone necklace for like 450 years, like that's actually like quite impressive. And like and then he goes into battle too, and you're like
Yeah.
and not for nothing, he's a human.
Yeah.
He's like not Fae or
Yeah.
any other immortal. He's a human. So yeah, I think this time around I'm gonna kind of be a little more advocating for Jurian.
Yeah. I completely agree with you that Jurian does not get enough credit, because I
Yeah.
actually think Jurian could have maybe ended up being like the ultimate big bad, because how he has any sanity is like completely beyond my understanding.
Yeah.
Like I don't I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, unless we're gonna get some like big he double crossed, like, which I don't think we will. Who knows though? But yeah, he deserves some more credit than I think we give him.
Yeah. Yeah, just for like not going like mass murderer on everyone's ass, really.
Truly, and had the faculties to, and again, this is from what I remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but like double cross Highburn,
Yeah.
like that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is an interesting comparison though, to think about Jurian in the ring and then kind of Feyre in this sort of dungeon like scenario. So Lucien comes, helps, is a piece of shit,
Which, real quick, I know we talked about it in the spoiler-free episode, but like I will say my mind changed slightly once, we kind of talked about what happens later in the chapter where he like is so ready.
Yeah.
Not so ready, but he knows he might be the sacrificial lamb,
Yeah.
But still though, I'm like like I feel like I think what pisses me off has been pissing me off between Lucien, Alice, and Tamlin is they treat her like she's Fae and forget she's human, who like a human who has no way of knowing any of this unless they tell her, right?
Yeah.
Although, on the other hand, it is kind of nice they're not patronizing her
Right.
as a human. Although, at least in these moments, although they all obviously do earlier in the book. But like, I don't know. It's just just like, dude, come on. But I also get like he's in a very compromising position of
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to make sure Tamlin's okay. I'm also trying to stay alive. My fucking family is here, who I haven't seen in God knows
Bro.
how long.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, speaking of the family, his fucking brothers. So there's one part where I don't think I wrote it down, but when his brothers step forward after Amarantha kind of calls them to the front, and she asks what Feyre assumes is his oldest brother if they know her name. He says something to the effect of like, "If we did, we'd tell you immediately." I'm assuming that's Eris,
That's what
right?
I assumed as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of theories about Eris that I'm actually quite inclined to believe, like that I mean, it's not even a theory. We know, well, I guess depends on what you believe, but like we know he's planning to double cross Baron, right?
Yeah.
But this scene, man, it's
Oh,
just,
it's so brutal.
and I think that's why I have such mixed feelings about him, because like I do think he is going to ultimately help, the inner circle and like betray Baron.
Yeah.
But I do question, like, I know there are some people out there who are like, oh, he's actually like a really good guy and, whatnot. I'm like, I think he's ultimately just doing it because he wants to be the High Lord of Autumn.
I think Eris is a very tricky character, mainly
Yeah.
because like I think Eris is a really good example of like the gray area.
Yeah.
Because I think we watch a transition. I think we watch an evolution of Eris happen throughout these books. Because I agree. I think just because he's willing to overthrow Baron, I don't think that immediately makes Eris a good guy.
No.
I think I think Eris is kind of just like, I think he's kind of constantly like at war with himself because I think he's been brought up in a very particular way. He's been brought up to sort of look through a very specific lens of competition and alliances and enemies and um classist versus non-classist, actually fighting for happiness, but then fighting for happiness being ridiculous. Like, there's this really interesting conversation that happens between Cassian and Eris towards the end of the series, where Cassian is straight up like, I feel sorry for you, right?
Yeah.
There's this whole Eris is he's always so just a classist fucking asshole when he talks to Cassian, right? He like,
Yeah.
he kind of treats Cassian like he's this beast. He's this like, very much lower than, Eris, and Eris he thinks it's all hilarious when Rhys makes Cassian like an emissary kind of, role. And through, I think it's Silver Flames, right? And it's like towards the end of Silver Flames, he has this conversation with Eris where he's just like, you know what? Like, I feel sorry for you. Like because it was after we like realized that his dad has been beating Eris and there's kind of all these things, and it's just like Cassian kind of says like, I have all these people who love me and who like care for me and fight for me, and I know what I fight for. I know what kind of man I am. Who are you and what kind of a man do you want to be, right? It's like something to that effect.
Yes.
And I honestly think in the next book, I think we're going to start seeing of even further evolution of Eris. And so I think Eris starts off as this snotty fucking guy who has been battling with who he is internally and then who his family is. Like I think there's been a glimmer of goodness within Eris because we're still not 100% sure about this whole Moore situation.
Right.
But I'm still not like, I'm not sold that Eris is just like, he's been this good guy that's been like just kind of hiding it this whole time. Like, I don't believe that at all. I think he has just been at constant war with himself.
Yes. Well, and I think this is why one of the few theories I actually really do like about Eris, I think he's gay. I think he's closeted, and I think that's part of the internal battle, and possibly part of the reason why Baron has beat him so much is, it's not explicitly said, but it is heavily implied that homophobia is very much a thing that is present in Prythian, and I think that could be linked to why he does what he does to Moore, because he recognizes her queerness. And like he unfortunately has to like, you know, do something pretty brutal to like, you know, make sure she gets back to the night court, not excusing that. But there's some really interesting theories that he's queer. I really like those theories. I think that'd be a really interesting journey for Eris. This goes a little more into the maybe conspiracy side, but like there are theories that like Eris and Asriel are gonna end up together,
Yeah.
and I'm like, do it, Sarah.
I know.
Do it.
Well, because like Eris does kind of have this like obsession with Asriel because like almost anytime they're all around each other, besides his overall like throwing Cassian under the bus, which is always just like so infuriating. Yeah, he always does kind of bring up stuff about Asriel. And when you first read the stuff, you think it's just because he's trying to poke the bear between the kind of love triangle of the love triangle that we all actually know isn't a real love triangle, but like the Asriel more Cassian-ness of it all. And like I think when you first read it, you think it's like Eris kind of doing that, but I feel like when you go through it more, like you're kind of like, why are you paying so much attention to Asriel, Eris? Like what's so fascinating to you over there, champ? Let us know.
Yeah,
you know.
Well,
so
like,
I love that idea.
Love that. There's a lot of people out there who think Eris and Nesta are actually meant for each other, and I'm like, no. Like, and it's because of the dancing, and I'm like, that was all politics. And like to me, I read that, I'm like, they're not at all attracted to one another.
So what? No. What? No. All you're proving is that Nesta's power worked, which is what the whole point of that scene was, that she was supposed to like win him over. That's literally the entire point. Like, what? So you guys just all got fooled too. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I do want to get back to Lucien.
Yes,
though.
please.
So actually, I didn't do, and I forgot to mention this in the spoiler-free episode, but I didn't have a directing moment for the spoiler-free section because I had it for this section because it goes into a little theory I have. So it's the moment, a very short, brief moment, when after Lucien has fixed Feyre up, you know, reset and fixed her broken nose, blah blah blah, which we will get back to because there's a few other things I want to talk about with that. But then at the very end, it says Lucien vanished, just vanished into the dim light on page 308, and that could just be he like backed into the shadows. But I'm like, did Lucien fucking winnow? It says he just vanished. Yeah. And if that's hinting at him winnowing, I have a lot of questions. So I think Lucien has more powers than he has let on in these 5 books that we currently have. I think we're going to find out some more about Lucien, especially if one of the next books, you know, because there's the big theory that there's going to be a book about Elaine, right? Meaning Lucien's probably going to feature heavily in that. But I think Lucien is a bit of a trickster. Like, I've always kind of thought of him as like a lower key, more subtle version of like Loki.
Yeah.
And I definitely think he's kept some things hidden from people. And part of me wonders, does he have the ability to winnow and we don't know it?
Who has the ability to winnow?
Rhys more, and then Feyre gets the ability.
Right. So is it just something that their family can do?
I don't know if we ever get a full answer to that.
I can't see.
Are you looking up who's able to winnow?
Yeah. A lot of people can.
Oh, who else?
All High Lords can winnow.
Oh
yeah, because Tamlin just like shows up in the Highburn camp. So yeah, he can winnow.
And Lucien is the only son of Helion.
So he's, yeah.
I think he winnowed in this scene, dude.
I think he did too. Because the mortal queens can winnow too.
Fuck, you're right.
But it's like a gift that was given to them or like whatever.
But that means in theory it could be given to anyone if they can be given to fucking humans.
Oh, bro.
What?
That's so funny. This power is first shown in A Court of Thorns and Roses when Lucien Van Sarah disappears from Feyre Archeron's cell and under the mountain, but is not emphasized or given a precise name.
I called it. Yeah, he fucking winnows. I think, you know, I don't have like a big like directing thing for it. I think I would want to kind of like play with it because as far as I remember, we never get confirmation beyond this scene that Lucien can winnow. I don't know if we ever see him winnow again. And I feel like that could be, if we don't, that could be like a big sort of like mic drop moment of like, I mean, it also plays to some other theories, I think, especially pertaining to, is that really Tamlin in the Spring Court in Frost and Starlight and Silver Flames, or is that Lucien? Because if both can winnow, they can swap places pretty fucking quickly. So yeah, I think what I would do is like, I'd probably play it off as like he backs it, he kind of Homer Simpsons it into the the bush, but into the shadows. But then like there comes a point where he like just straight up disappears, and you're kind of like, wait, what? Like this is a very specific reference, but for those who have seen the movie Hereditary with like the ghosts in the corner, I kind of like it's using like darkness to make the audience go, did I just see what I thought I saw? So that's my little directing moment. The last thing I want to say about like this little scene between the two of them, and we won't go like fully into it because I do want to discuss more of it once we get to that chapter, and I think it's 2 chapters from now. But you know, Lucien heals Feyre's nose. You know, he has to set her nose and then heals it, and he takes down the swelling, but he doesn't make her look completely healed, and says, I couldn't heal you completely. They would know someone helped you. The bruises are there along with a hideous black eye, and but all the swelling's gone. In a couple chapters from now, because remember, she breaks her arm during the first challenge, and then that's how we get the bargain between her and Rhys, as he comes and he resets her arm. So I reread that part. We'll get to that, the reason why, in a couple chapters. But one thing I did read is not only does he fix her arm, he cleans her up. So when she wakes up, she's like, it seemed like I had been bathed. And I find it really interesting that Rhys is okay with potentially getting caught having helped her, but Lucien is worried. And I think it, you know, to a degree it's understandable, because it's like Lucien has a lot more he has a lot more at risk in an obvious way. You know, like Amarantha doesn't trust him, whereas Rhys is far more trusted. But if you think about it, Rhys kind of ultimately has more to lose because he's trying to hide Valaris. That's why he's doing this whole thing with Amarantha. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I think it speaks to Rhys's character. And this isn't blaming Lucien at all. It's, you know, I think it's very understandable why he's like, yeah, I kind of gotta make it look like you're still wounded. And, you know, I mean, to be fair, it's like, okay, bruises, whatever. Like, they're not hurting her. But it speaks to Rhys's character, I think, that not only would he heal her arm and also her fever, because remember, she's like, her arm is infected, so she's like about to die from a fever, an infection, but he wants her to actually be comfortable. As comfortable as one could be in a dungeon, right? So yeah, I think that's noteworthy.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rhys also, though, has a better understanding of what he can get away with. I think absolutely. There's a lot of little twisty lies that he could say to, you know, it's like, because he is so close to the enemy, I think he has a better concept of like what he can do and what he can say. And like, I agree. I mean, it definitely shows this level of like, I think he did it because he like just couldn't leave her like that, you know, for her sake. But I also do think that it is because I think Rhys knew that he could, if anyone were to say anything about it, he could find some torturous explanation, or, you know, because also eventually Rhys does start bringing her to parties with him under the mountain. Right. Which he has her cleaned and painted on and everything for. So there's a lot of little schemy things he probably could have said, you know. So I think Rhys was in a better position to be able to. But yes, it does. I mean, I think it just goes towards the overall idea that, like, you know, Rhys has been good the whole time, that he was never a bad guy. But we'll save that full rant for when we're there. Just when I think that, like, I made myself hate Tamlin more than was necessary. I'm sorry. Yeah. This page 307,
Mm.
right? Feyre's like, oh, you have power. And Lucien says, talking about Amarantha, she gave me back a fraction to entice Tamlin to accept her offer, but he still refuses her.
Dude, like, I am so over this male. I'm
Like-
so fucking over him. Like, and you know, the way we sort of talked about in the spoiler-free episode to mask spoiling anything was we kind of did the basically fake devil's advocate thing of like, well, maybe he has this secret scheme that we don't know about yet, that he has to hide all this stuff for now. He doesn't. We know he doesn't at this point. Like, he has no secret plan. He is just acting in the moment, or not acting in the moment. Like,
yeah. So you're telling me your plan this whole time is just to sit stoically next to Amarantha. At this point now, your pride is actively disrespectful to everybody else.
it's hurting other people.
Like, what is the game plan here, bro?
Well, especially, and I just want to jump ahead a little bit to later in the chapter, when his best bro
Yeah.
is about to get his mind shredded by Rhys.
Yeah.
Like, and he, not only does he not try and help him, all he can do is look at Lucien's fucking brothers, which is like, I get you're mad at them, but at the end of the day, as much as they fucking suck, they're not the ones ordering Rhys to shred Lucien's mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you have lost the plot entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, it is infuriating because, you know, as I'm sure all of you know, you know, I'm Queen Gavel Gavel. I'm Queen Devil's Advocate. I love to try to find the other side, I can't find the other side here. Like,
no,
because your inaction is still action, Tamlin. Like, you are not doing fucking anything. And like, I really thought that I had just kind of been like, oh, you know, like, we're really hard on Tamlin because he doesn't do a lot under the mountain. But what really could he have done? You could have, like, yes, from a romance, like, viewpoint, this would kill Feyre to know that he is like accepting her offer. Like, of course. But could it potentially in the long run have like saved a shit ton of Fae? Maybe. I don't know. But you're not fucking trying. Like, it's just, it is infuriating.
It also just reminds you, like, how many romantasy novels out there, series, where, like, the male main character has sacrificed, done something that would, like, hurt the person that he loves, but only temporarily because he's ultimately trying to save them.
It happens all the time.
Oh, it's a trope at this point.
We had a whole book, Fourth Wing, y'all. If anyone's read Fourth Wing, we had a whole book where we didn't know how homey felt. Like, so come on.
Don't even get me started on Fourth Wing. I think what's even more infuriating, it's one thing, you know, not to you know, downplay it at all. It's one thing to talk about the inaction he did for Feyre, right? Because, like, you know, to tiny devil's advocate, yes, he loves her, but we have to also remember she's a human woman who did kill one of his friends.
Yeah.
Who, like, he's only known for, like, maybe half a year at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, still shitty, but, like, I could at least maybe stomach that a tiny bit. But Lucien?
Yeah.
Lucien.
Yeah.
Who he is known for centuries at this point, who lost his fucking eye for Tamlin.
Yeah.
And is still trying to protect Tamlin. I'm like, you're not even gonna look at him? Like, fuck you, bro. Like,
well, okay, let's take it further. All right.
Let's do it.
If we believe that there's actually two balls that went down.
Yeah.
How about the fact that Tamlin sent Lucien after all the High Lord's powers have been taken and she starts attacking everywhere, and he sends fucking Lucien, not a High Lord, to go talk for him because he doesn't want to be near Amarantha. Bro.
Well. Here's where I am going to devil's advocate.
Gonna gavel that one?
I'm going to gavel, because remember, as we talked about last week, this is a woman who, like, not only was, like, evil incarnate, but also, like, basically pegged him from when he was a child. So, like, from a sexual, not even assault survivor, but, like,
Okay, that's fair.
from that,
No,
from,
that's
you know
fair.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no,
Like,
no,
I
yeah.
actually understand. I understand that. And Lucien is his emissary.
Yeah.
So that is kind of his job.
No.
But after his eye got gouged out,
Yeah.
like, that's when I'm like, my guy. Like,
yeah.
step in.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is, his inaction is even more infuriating the more you read, like, and like it's only going to get more frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about this Lucien portion,
Yeah,
is mainly just when he does this whole history recap, right, of
yes.
Amarantha and Jurian. Bro, I cannot believe that King Hybern doesn't punish the fuck out of her for this.
Yeah, especially
Like,
knowing who, like, the only thing I can think of, this is no distant Mother Mass, but, like, I feel like this is maybe when she wrote that portion of this book, that's maybe before she had, like, a full idea of who Hybern was. You know what I mean? Like, the Hybern that
yeah,
we meet in Mist and Fury.
yeah,
That's kind of the only thing I can think of, because the Hybern that we get to know, yeah, it's fucking shocking that and look, maybe we'll find out later he did do some stuff, and that's why it took 400 years for her to come back. But it is surprising.
Well, this is also what I'm wondering of, like, is there a level of non-remembering that is happening between you and me, of like, is there
Maybe.
because there is some stuff later, because they talk about Amarantha kind of like
Throughout.
I would say, but
Yeah.
probably more in like Mist and Fury,
Yeah.
mainly because of what Hewn City looks like, right? Like when
Yes.
Feyre first sees Hewn City, it's like really triggering for her, right?
Mhm.
And it's because we find out that it's like Amarantha, like she modeled it after Hewn City, blah blah blah. And they kind of talk about her a little bit in there. And I'm wondering if there is, or even maybe an ACOTAR, like, is there like a side comment made about, like, does Hybern say something about her in a bad way? Like,
Possibly.
was her punishment that she was forced to, like, not do anything for 400 years, and then he, like, shoved
Yeah.
her across over to Prithian? Like, I don't know, I'm just wondering. I just think it's astounding that she's even alive.
It's pretty amazing. You know, I wonder if, like, it's one of those situations where she's just so good at what she does,
Maybe.
which is torturing. He
Yeah.
can't really afford to lose her.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, her punishment, I mean, that would actually make a lot of sense. Like, he punishes her by just, like, not putting her in the game for 400 years. She has to prove her, because, like, 400 years, obviously it's a lot to humans, but that is a good length of time for
That's still a
Faye.
long time for Faye. Yeah.
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 Because, like, I think it gets established somewhere that Rhys is like 500 and something.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
like, that's most of his life.
well, because there's even, like, I think even one of them makes a joke of, like, I'm not that old. Like, when
Right.
people ask about, like, if they fought in the war or, like, whatever,
Right.
and I think, like, one of them says to Feyre, like, I'm not that old. So, like, that's still
Yeah.
long for them. That's still, like, a long time.
Yes. So for her to have to sit out for 400
Yeah,
years,
like, maybe that is
a punishment.
I'm just really curious if we're gonna get, because doing this process with you, there's been a lot more little, like, one-liners that I've been like, whoa, did not clock that
Yeah.
before. So I'm just really
Right.
interested if we're gonna get something about that, because it's just the Hybern that we end up being around later. I just don't see, like, she cost him the war because she was torturing a mortal. Like, that's just not, it's not a good, that's not his style. You know what I mean?
No.
So it's just
No.
rereading that, I was like, fascinating.
Well, speaking of kind of these little one-off
Yeah.
one-liners, I want to jump ahead to the throne room scene, because my God, does she low-key tell us that Rhys is a good guy.
Yeah, dude. I, like, forgot that it started this early.
Yeah, same.
The questioning as a reader of, like, wait a minute, what? Why is he lying for her? Why is he not?
Well, and it just shows she was priming us, right? She was priming, like, it's a slow spoon feeding, if you will,
Yeah.
of, like, we're gonna like him bit by bit. So by the time the big reveal comes, or not even the big reveal, but by the time Feyre decides to leave the spring court and stay with him, we're like finding yourselves going like, why am I happy this is happening?
Yeah.
And I think it's moments like this where like subconsciously we do kind of remember them and we're like, oh yeah, he actually, when you really look back at the things he did, there's like very few things that are like pretty bad.
Yeah.
But like from what I remember, nothing horrific. And then you have moments like this where it's like, oh, we were kind of always questioning, is this guy really on Amarantha's side?
Yeah, it's like a slow breadcrumb that we're like supposed to follow. Because also like I remember that even by the time we get to the bargain, I remember the first time I read being like, I mean, girl, just like do it, because like he clearly is not fully on Amarantha's side here. Like,
Yep.
and also, and I kind of brought it up in the spoiler free, and I appreciated you letting me do that.
Yeah.
Sarah is also slowly getting you like into him,
Getting you horny for him.
and how she describes him. Literally, like, night still seemed to ripple off him like some near invisible cloak. Like, fuck off. Like, it is very hot. There's a lot of other little things in here too, but it was so funny. I screamed at Ariel for saying this in the spoiler free portion.
Oh.
But we get our first fleck of dust on
Yeah.
310. He brushed some invisible fleck of dust off his black tunic before he surveyed me. His violet eyes held boredom and disdain. And I just wrote fleck of dust. And Ariel, sweet Ariel, in the spoiler free portion was like, now guys, this is our first, we get a lot of these, so just get ready. And I literally was like, no, you can't do it.
And I get why. I get
Maybe
why.
just, yeah.
It's really a Rhys thing.
It's very like, okay, it is a very common thing that is written about kind of cocky,
Males.
snobby male characters, that they're always
Yeah.
like cleaning something off themselves.
Yeah.
But it's such a specific Rhys thing. And I didn't want us to give away that we see this a lot, because that means we're telling people that we're spending a shit ton of time with Rhys, and I just don't want that out there.
Totally.
Yet.
Well, and it's funny because like my argument was like, I think other characters do it too. And then I thought about it, I'm like, oh, actually, I think the only other character that does it maybe a couple times is Feyre, because she probably picks it up from Rhys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, you're totally right. It's like a very inadvertent spoiler.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, exactly. It's very I completely understand, but like, no, and like I think also too, Ariel, there are characters in a lot of the other books that you and I read that this is something they do. And that's why I said that like it is a common thing that writers will have that kind of snobby hoity-toity character like do.
Yes.
You know? Yes. But we all know in ACOTAR, a fleck of dust, like picking that off, like that is Rhys. Like I remember one of my early TikToks that I did was me like being Rhys, like flicking something off my shoulder, and like people were like, not the fleck of dust. And I was like, these are my people. They fucking know, you know? Man. So but yeah, but I love it. Like it's our first one. So huzzah. We'll get so many more. I also love the description where she says, and Feyre in her mind, she's like, my heart became a leaden weight as those casual strolling steps sounded from behind. They stopped when they were beside me, far too close for my liking. But it's just, I love this, like, this build of the mystique of Rhys, of the casual strolling. We also get a lot of he stuffed his hands into his pockets. These are a lot of stuff that is repeated around Rhys, and it's not just Rhys, it's a very specific side of Rhys, right? Yeah. It's the High Lord of the Night Court mask.
Yes.
It is the, nonchalantness while he's the most powerful fucking thing in the room, right? It's the hands in the pockets when he really has wings, but no one can see. Like, it's like there's right? That's why I loved the nights seemed to ripple off him in like an invisible cloak. Those are his wings, baby girl. Like, I love all of these little things with Rhys.
Also, you just kind of like, I think we talked about this in a chapter many moons ago, but like the amount of times Rhys is described so beautifully, and I'm not talking about like literally she's like, he's so hot, but like in these beautiful descriptions, like night rippling off of him, compared to how
Yeah.
she describes Tamlin.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, she describes him as like gorgeous, you know, in certain moments, but like, there was that one chapter where like she's kind of comparing the two, and she literally says something to the effect of like, his eyes were fine, or something like that. And you're just
Yeah.
like, girl.
Well,
Like,
she's like, maybe it's because I can't see his whole face. Like she does that kind of
right.
stuff because she's thinking about the mask. But like, as the kids would say, you know, Rhys has a lot of aura, right?
Is he aura farming?
Like, I think there is a magnetism to Rhys that a lot of people. Well, it's funny actually. I may change my mind because like. I was about to say that I feel like a lot of people probably feel this magnetism towards Rhys, but I'm realizing
Yeah.
we only ever view Rhys through the eyes of Feyre, right? Except for when we're with Nesta, and she hates him.
But Cassian too. And
True.
actually, probably I think in Frost and Starlight, you get a more chapter, and
Well,
maybe
I guess what I'm trying to say is like those are also all POVs of people who already know him, right?
True.
So
Yes.
I'm just wondering, like, because I was about to say, like, he just has a magnetism that everyone's like attracted to. It's like, or is it just that because the majority of the time that we've first met Rhys, it's through the eyes of Feyre? Is it actually just that she's been magnetized to him since the very beginning? Because you're right, there are so many beautiful adjectives when Rhys enters the room. The description of like, and also just like Feyre's attentiveness to every little thing he does, like all his movements and everything. It's like, okay.
It feels very much like when you have like a crush on someone you don't want to have a crush on, but you're still noticing like everything that they do, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
One really quick thing, and I'm going to be very quick about it. So there's this whole thing Amarantha does, as we know, like where she tries to get Feyre's name. She almost has Rhys break Lucien's mind. Then Feyre says her name. So Amarantha on page 312 says, Feyre, an old name from our earlier dialects. And I think this absolutely plays to what we were talking about in, I think it was a couple episodes ago, of there's just no, I'm getting more and more convinced that there's no way the Archeron sisters are fully fucking human. And we actually talked about this before we got on the pod. I think we're going to have to do either a TikTok or like a TikTok live or something, because they're like, it's like now painful for me that we can't talk about like cross series theories.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have to do a separate thing for it, because my brain like exploded when I saw that.
Well, what's so funny is like before we started recording, Ariel was kind of like, okay, can we talk about in this episode? And I was like, we should wait for an episode where it really has to do. And then I was just going through my notes and I was like, wait, fuck, it's in my notes for this chapter.
Yeah.
And so I love that you just brought that up, because I was like, wait a minute, it actually would work in this episode. But yes, there is a lot of cross massverse that Ariel wants to talk about that I'm like totally in agreement with her of like the kind of idea that she has. But I think we agree that it needs to be in a different space, because we don't want to spoil anything for you guys for the other series if you guys haven't read them yet.
But please, for the love of God, read Crescent City and Throne of Glass.
Yeah, for the love of God, just do it. Yeah. But yeah, no, I know when she's like, an old name from our earlier dialects, it's like, come the fuck on, bro.
Yeah.
They are not human. Also, like, we have gotten probably one of our most viewed TikTok videos. It's a clip from the episode where we talk about that. Yeah, we've gotten the most views on that video. We love all of the really positive and supportive comments that you guys are leaving on that. Thank you. It makes us feel very loved and very seen. Because bro, like they're not human. They are not human.
Or not fully human.
Not fully.
They're part human for sure. I think on Papa's side. I think Mama, though, there's a lot of questions.
Agreed. Because there's just too many things. But they're all stuff like this. But the other stuff that feels more obvious, like in your face, is any description of fucking Nesta, bro. Like, I can't. I can't.
Well, and the one thing I will say, it's another one-liner, and the people who will know, and the people who don't, this will not spoil anything. But let us not forget, and I forgot who it was, but someone commented this on the TikTok you're referring to. All 3 girls were birthed in an ironwood bed.
Bro, when that comment was up there, I was like, I forgot about that because I
I
remember
know.
having a moment of like, wait a minute,
Yep.
Squeamy? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I screamed.
Yeah.
Those who know.
Further proof. Further
proof.
Okay.
All right, but
the
this
riddle.
riddle. Okay, I don't think we have to go over. I mean, we all here know what the answer is. What I want to talk about is at what point you and I figured out this riddle, because I will tell you, I figured it out almost immediately.
Yeah. Well, okay. I want to start with, as I think, obviously, if you're here, you're Serial Squad, so you know all the things. And I'm sure we all know about how this is this like hilarious canon event amongst
Yep.
ACOTAR readers where you either get it immediately or you never get it.
There's no in between. Like, no one's figuring out in the second trial, like, oh, I suddenly have the answer. It's like, no. You either figure out now or when she says it.
Yeah. And like, I'm pretty sure, I think once I got into the next, I think it was like the second, maybe I'm one of the outliers actually, because I actually think that because there's another time where she starts thinking about it when she's in the cell.
Yeah, actually, yeah, okay.
And I think it's after the first trial or something.
I thought we'll find out when we get there, because I thought the same, but she's also like really
She's like dying,
fevered up. Yeah, so I think the part where I got it, and maybe I thought it was later on, we'll find out. But it's on the same page 313. She says, "Could it be some sort of disease? My mother had died of typhus, and her cousin had died of malaria after going to Bharat. But none of those symptoms seem to match the riddle. Maybe it was a person." I think that's maybe where I got it, because I just remember her saying something to that effect and being like, okay, if Feyre is thinking it's this, it's got to be the opposite of whatever she's saying. And I'm like, oh, it's love.
Yeah. Well, I remember when she started going down this route, the first time I read it, I was like, oh, baby girl, we're going too literal. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's literally no way it's going to be a disease. Like, absolutely no way. But I do remember that I got it at some point. I mean, maybe when we get there, I'll be like, oh, this is when I got it.
Yeah.
But, and it's funny because when you know the answer and then you read the riddle out loud, you're like, yeah, it's really fucking obvious, Yeah. But this riddle.
Oh, this riddle.
It's just so funny.
Everyone listening, you should definitely jump into our DMs or email us. I'd be so curious to see. I feel like I want to take a poll or something of when did you guess the answer to the riddle?
Yeah.
Because
or did you just not waste your time? Because I think I talked to someone where they were like, yeah, I'm not good with riddles, so I just didn't really try. I just moved on. I'm like, that's fair. That's totally fair. It's completely.
Absolutely.
I don't think Ariel and I are sitting here being like, oh, if you didn't get it, you're stupid.
No.
I think it's just
no. It's fascinating to see who really tries to who like us are obsessive and just are what the fuck is it? And who are just I will go along the journey. I mean, as we've said, I am the spoiler queen. Yeah. I used to be the person. I feel like I'm gonna get crucified for this. I used to be the person to read the last page of a book before I finished, because I just couldn't. I it was this weird OCD thing. Oh, okay. I think that I would do. And eventually I had to be you need to stop. I forgot what book it was. I found out something that it ruined the whole book for me. And I was like, you need to fucking stop this. Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from of I'm that type of person. So I think anyone who is just I like to go along with the journey. I'm I wish I were you. Yeah. I truly envy you.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a little bit of an in-between. Where I'll kind of go along for the journey, but if something's really sticking with me, I'm just all right, I gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
But because you remember those choose your own adventure books?
Oh my God, yeah.
I was the brat who would go and find the best ending and then work backwards.
That's actually kind of fun.
But that completely defeats the purpose of the choose your own adventure books. That is not what a piece of shit. That's just not.
You're like, let me deconstruct this end.
Let me figure this out so I can do this correctly on the other side. But yeah,
I
no,
love that.
I would love a poll. I would love to know who tried, who never got it until Feyre said it, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I do think Ariel and I, we both have admitted that like we got it before Baby Girl did. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and like that kind of leads me to like this whole obsessing she does at the end
yeah,
of like, did I fuck up? Like,
right.
like Amarantha said she'd release this immediately once I figured out the riddle, but not with the trials. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole reason she answers the riddle is because she does complete all the trials, and then doesn't Amarantha basically be like, "Oh well, I never said when I'd let you free," and then
Yeah.
that's when she solves the riddle, right?
Yeah, because that when you brought up the immediate thing, I was like, I'm getting triggered about something
Yeah, yeah,
that she literally was like, she won, someone in the crowd said. Free them, another echoed, but Amarantha's face blanched, her features contorting until she looked truly serpentine. I'll free them whenever I see fit. Feyre didn't specify when I had to free them, just that I had to. At some point, perhaps when you're dead. You assumed that when I said instantaneous freedom regarding the riddle, it applied to the trials too, didn't you? Foolish, stupid human.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So she's totally right to be
Worried.
like freaking out over this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because, and actually, to go back on page 301, Amarantha does say, you'll complete all the tasks, or when you can't stand it anymore, all you have to do is answer one question. I could barely hear her above the blood pounding in my ears. A riddle. You solve the riddle, and his curse will be broken instantaneously, in italics.
Yeah. It's only the riddle.
Yeah.
God, she's such a bitch.
Yeah, because before Feyre's like, I complete all 3 of your tasks and his curse is broken, and we and all his court can leave here and remain free forever. And Amarantha just goes, of course.
Yeah, yeah. And I get why Feyre thinks that it's the riddle that she's being tricked with. Because of course she would think that, right? Like
Yeah.
she's thinking the trials are clear enough. But the trick was in the trials, not the riddle.
Yeah, because she's like,
Damn.
not to mention the nagging feeling that she might have wound up tricking me with his bargain when she'd emphasize immediately regarding the riddle.
Mhm.
Maybe she meant she would not free us immediately after I finished her trials. Ugh, the trickery of the Fae.
The trickery of the Fae. It's so
Fucking brutal.
it's brutal.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to say, and I don't quite know if this means anything or if I'm looking too deep into this. So after on page 314, after Amarantha gives Feyre the riddle, it says, Amarantha says, think on it. Amarantha said consolingly, inflict a grin down at her ring, at the eyes swiveling within it. When it comes to you, I'll be waiting. That second part, when she says, when it comes to you, I'll be waiting, is she talking to Feyre or is she talking to Jurian? And if she's talking to Jurian, what does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she tried to give that riddle to Jurian before. Maybe that was part of her torture process, and she's just kind of like, Because also, when I first read it, I also read it as like, when it comes to you, I'll be waiting. And in reality, it's her saying, when it comes to you, like when the answer comes to you, I will
Oh,
be waiting.
that
Not,
could, yeah.
yeah.
When it comes to you,
Yeah. So like when it comes to you, I'll be waiting. When the answer comes to you, let me know.
yeah,
But
that could be yeah.
But it's interesting because I read it that the way that you just said it the first time too, and I was like, when
Yeah.
it comes to you, like when it comes to Jurian, she'll be waiting. What does that mean? What the fuck does that mean?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I also kind of it'd be interesting to think if this was a riddle that she's been trying to get these mortals, these humans to solve for like a while. You
Yeah.
know, like it would kind of go within her like crazy canon of who she is.
Well, and like the irony is like, the answer is I think the reason the answer
Yeah.
is love is like she has never had love. She like love has been a riddle to her if
Yeah.
you think about it,
Yeah.
right? Like she lost the only person she ever like truly loved, which is her sister. I don't think she actually loves Tamlin.
No.
I think she wants to have power over Tamlin. Same with Rhys.
Yeah.
And that's about it. So yeah, it's I think that's the other reason I realized the answer was love when I did figure it out the first time is because it's like, oh well, like the irony is it's this loveless woman
This exactly. who like all she really wants is, I think that's why we are always making jokes of like, she just needs a hug. Like someone just give her a hug,
Well, it very much reminds me of the big bad in Throne of Glass, like the ultimate big
Yeah,
bad. There's a
yeah,
few, but
yeah,
the
yeah,
final boss. But yeah, it's really interesting.
yeah,
And I think this is what I love about Mama Mass's writing is like even the bad guys, like she will make it very clear, like these are the evil people, but the reason they're evil, I'm gonna say like 9 out of 10 times, is they don't have love in their life,
yeah,
which is very befitting of a romantasy
yeah,
series. It's
absolutely.
like, the real villain is the lack of love.
Exactly. Exactly. We all just need a little love, just a little bit of love.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, one thing I can tell you is Feyre ain't getting any love next week.
Nope.
Well, okay, actually, if Rhys does help her. So I guess you can count that. But
Yeah.
other than that, she ain't getting much love
Nope.
because she's going into that first trial. So next week, we're only gonna cover chapter 36 because lots going on
Lots
in that
going
chapter that
on.
we want to really dissect.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And you can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky at Cauldron Save Us Pod. I think I really, once I have a little more time, I want to do more like theories, especially cross series theories. I feel like that could be like a whole little what's it called? Series that we could do. And if you have any theories or just anything you want to say, you can email us at cauldronsaveus@gmail.com.
I'm so
Getting in.
excited for the tasks to start.
I know how much you love a trial task book. So I'm excited. I'm excited, but I'm also excited for you.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. Like I literally was just like, I might just start reading after we stop recording
Oh, hell yeah.
because it sounds really fun. Because honestly, I love it when underdog characters, especially women, get thrown into certain scenarios that no one thinks they can accomplish, and they manage to accomplish it by using the fact that they are smaller build, that they are like they don't try to do it the way that a big Fey male would have done it. They do it the way their human female body allows them to accomplish things, or even, fourth wing, like just, by like her finding ways to do things with her body size and like what, like there's just, I love it when women use things that other characters view as weaknesses and they use it in a way that it's actually their superpower. I think it's such an important lesson for everyone to learn, but especially females within the society that we live in right now.
Absolutely. Preach. So
that's my
thing. I'm right. I'm very excited for next chapter, even though there's a very triggering word for me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work really hard to get through that.
Yeah. Yep. But I'll get through it. I'm just not gonna eat while reading.
Yeah. And we'll have to go through like what I can say and what I can't say.
Yeah.
What have you. But anyway, so excited. Can't wait to party on down with that chapter with Serial Squad, which is funny. I don't know if there's a lot of spoilery stuff in it, but it'll probably just be us like, ooh, But anyway, as always, you're welcome.
And we're sorry. Bye.
Bye, guys.